Hey everyone, it's James here, Brookhill Angus. Out putting hay down tonight, probably about a 10-12 degree night. Putting hay down for the mamas. They're over here. They're busy eating, but I thought I'd make a video and tell you once again why the Hustler TX205 bale processor is one of the best pieces of equipment that you could ever have on your property. This is way better than feeding with a TMR mixer, way better than feeding, vastly better than feeding with hay rings. Definitely beats unrolling the hay in a flat mat on the ground where they all lay on it. It's just, there's nothing that competes with this machine, period. And I'm going to show you a few things. And the reason I made this video tonight is I was talking to somebody earlier and they were telling me about how involved their whole feeding process was. And I was telling them how absolutely simple our process is. So when you have the bale loaded, you can see I can carry one in the back and extra on here. Everything's controlled hydraulically. There's no PTO shaft whatsoever. So I just have two levers here, feeding with a John Deere 6110R. You could actually feed with a vastly smaller tractor than this. But as you can see, I'm right down near idle. And usually with a TMR mixer, you're going to have a pretty sizable tractor that can run that PTO. So basically what I do is I just use one hand and just let this hay out. And it basically just disassembles the bale right back as if it were in the windrow. And as you can see, these gals, these heifers right here, they've had no grain at all. And just look how, of course I use BioReg mineral tubs with molasses, but this is it. Average quality hay, BioReg, and put it right back onto the ground just like they're eating it. It mimics how they would graze out in a pasture. And so I can let it out. As you see, I use one hand. I can let it out aggressively, or I can let it out just a little bit at a time. And I can put this bale anywhere that I want in the field. If it's muddy, I can put it up on a dry spot. I'm constantly moving where the cattle are. So they're never sitting in a bad place for too long. Now, as you can see, I fed the bale basically at idle. I'm gonna circle around right now I'm feeding real close to the water because not a huge fan of these ridgy waters. They tend to freeze up and in weather like this, and it's important to keep the bale, or keep their feet close to the water so that they're constantly going to the water and hitting those floats and keeping them loose. And more cattle that are near these waters, the better they work. But if you don't have a lot of cattle near the waters, they will definitely freeze up in this type of weather. But so I raised the RPMs to get circled around here again, but I want to show you here. Basically, I lowered the RPMs. I'm gonna bring it down to, we're basically an A1 at idle, just barely moving, and already put the hay down for them, and they're picking through what they want. Now I'm feeding it again really nice and slow. As you can see, There's a little baby down there. That guy was born on a 5-degree night, and he wasn't fighting for his life trying to get close to a hay ring or a TMR mixer. He had some dry hay to lay on, and if they stay dry in this weather, they'll make it just fine. But this is like the second or third pass with this bale, and people say, well, if you put the bale on the ground, they're going to waste it, they're going to lay on it, they won't eat it all. That's complete rubbish, because they will, just like when they graze, they will pick through every last bit on the ground, and it's up to you whether you're going to cater to them and just throw all the feed out and give them a smorgasbord, or if you're going to let it out slowly and spread it apart. Because as you can see here, there are some small ones in here, just the way we have this lot at the moment. It won't always be like that, but the boss cows, if there were hay rings, the boss cows would dominate those hay rings, and the small ones would not get anything to eat. But by spreading this hay out slowly, as we're doing, and in different patterns, I'm accomplishing several things. One is I'm putting manure in specific locations. We don't use any fertilizer whatsoever on this place. We are a true ranch. We only grow cattle and grass, and all hay is brought in, and we don't raise our hay, we don't raise any crops, we don't raise anything except registered Angus and grass. And so I like to have clover in the fields, and if I put chemicals on and spray and do all that nonsense, I'm going to definitely create problems. Most likely I won't have clover, won't have bees, won't have a lot of things. But with this, that hay right there that you see, it's full of clover. So it's basically frost seeding clover back into the field as I feed. Cattle come along, they eat it, they trample the seed in, there's manure, it snows, it rains, it all works back into the soil, and everything is completely natural. If you're feeding like in a feed bunk or hay rings, you're concentrating all that down and creating a complete dead spot on your farm. And just, it's no good. And so when I get toward the end, I just roll that table up, kick it out, and ready for the next bale to load. And I don't have the piece of equipment, but maybe Hustler, if you're listening, could make this piece of equipment. But I'd like to be able to carry one there, and then instead of one on the spear, I'd like to be able to carry two on the spear. So 4 bales at a time to hit multiple lots. But I know that a lot of people think about the whole feeding process, and they want to know, what's the best way to feed my cattle and to be good to the soil, be good to the cattle, and good to yourself. Because trust me, this lowers the amount of work involved in feeding a large herd. There'll be well over 100+ head of cattle fed in the next couple hours, and it'll just basically be a breeze, all while doing it, in essentially the office here. But so I'll make one more pass by the cattle. You can see what they look like. And for those of you that pay attention to our genetics, these are mostly derived from Shop Angus Valley genetics, President, Rain Dance, Elation, America, and they're crossed over with our OX2 bull from Sinclair. So Like these heifers right here, these would be Schaff genetics with emulation genetics over top. So basically Rito and emulation up through there. But as you can see, look at that little baby right there. Can't do that in a hay ring. You absolutely cannot do that with hay ring or TMR mixer or anything like that. And everybody says, oh, put the baby inside because they're cold. You put the baby inside and there's a much better chance they're going to get pneumonia or have some other issue. Look at that cow just sitting there eating that long stem hay. There's nothing better, period, for the rumen than eating like that. Long stem hay and the bioreg tubs from Advanced Ag Products with all their essential oils and minerals. You really don't need to do much more. I mean, it's like the KISS method that they always talk about. Keep it simple, stupid. But with that, hope you all learned something, a little more about what we do here. And take a look at that little baby there. Doesn't need much, just a little tuft of hay to keep him warm. Then you can calve in winter months. You don't need to calve inside on barns and everything. That's an Udder Tech blanket. Now stay on it for the next couple of days. It's just been really cold. Helps him out. So, all right. Well, have a nice evening, folks. And if you have any questions, leave them down there in the comment section. Signing off.